Hello world, my name's Ben and welcome to Recap. We picked up this week with the party realizing that they weren't alone in the dragon graveyard. Rising up out of the mire around the poison swamp was a large, tentacly plant creature made up of masses of vines and branches and bones and dragon scales left over from the graves. It threatened them all menacingly. They reacted very quickly and dispatched it before it actually had a chance to do anything. So they grabbed the ammonia mushrooms that they were there for and teleported back to Muskill to do a final bit of research and grab a couple beers before they traveled to the ritual site. Melanoa hit the library and confirmed where to find some ostriches, and I actually read the primal Pathecaris to confirm that the ostrich needed to be alive at the time. She also discovered that the ritual, as detailed in the primal Pathecaris, was fairly close to the absurd idea that the party had. Conveying all this to the party and doing a final preparation, the party then teleported to some savannah, located a flock of ostriches, and tried to chase them down and capture one. Varga, turning into Whirlwind, wasn't very successful at capturing one alive. Feathers and blood everywhere. Not a pretty picture. Zinch, however, was able to make use of his brand new sap and chased out an ostrich on foot and bagged him one. From there, the party teleported to a volcano that they knew about, which sadly was Gurgen's homeland. Climbing up to the lip of the volcano, they performed the ritual when noon came around. Relvin focused the sunlight that was streaming down through the amethyst crystal. That focus beam was targeted at the ammonia mushroom, which eventually ignited. At the same moment it ignited, Gurgen had to sacrifice the ostrich and spill its blood over the amethyst crystal. The whole time, Melanoa reading from the primal Pathecaris the appropriate ritual words in order to make the whole invitation acceptance happen. Suddenly, a set of portals opened up around the party. There were 8 of them and they kept growing, and eventually they started blending together, and swirling masses started to distort reality. And then when the party's senses returned to them, they found themselves elsewhere. They were still on a volcano, but this volcano apparently was on an island, because every direction that they looked was nothing but water. Looking down the mountainside, there was actually a nice clear path made of obsidian that led to a building. Only building they could see, and so they headed that way. At the outside of the building were 6 pillars holding up a small roof section. Each of those pillars was made up of an energy. Acid, fire, cold, electricity, positive energy, and negative energy. On the other side of the pillars was a large archway that led into the inside of the building. Going in, the party discovered that there were 3 doors on the far side of the hallway from them. And this hallway was a narrow hallway that stretched out, and on one end was a hole in the ground and a hole in the ceiling with a pipe, or a pole, going up and down. The pole was notched to make it easy to climb, so it wasn't very hard for them to explore. Turned out that there was an upstairs and a downstairs. Each of those had 3 identical doors and an identical hallway as well. So the party took time to open up the doors and see what they could find, while Varga was having fun climbing up and sliding down the pole, and climbing up and sliding on the pole, and climbing up and sliding on the pole. Turned out that there were 9 rooms total, and the outside 8 each were completely identical. In them was a single statue of the Lesser Titan that had appeared to the party in their visions. The statue portrayed the Lesser Titan holding out his hand as though he's trying to grab something, with his other hand held behind his back. The center of the 9 rooms was different. The statue here was of Balm. Relvin, as one of the oldest party members, recognized it as pretty much identical to how Balm first appeared to the party, standing over their fire one night in a downpour as they were camped. Experimenting what to do with each of the statues that they found, the party decided that it was a combination of shaking hands with the statues and being in the right spot so that way the statue matched the element that the character was. As it turned out, you needed air up in the center of the top floor, earth on the center of the bottom floor, water and fire on the middle floor, and then each of the 4 corners needed to be the para-elemental that matched the 2 adjacent rooms. Even without all 8 rooms filled, because there's only 6 party members, miss you, Cog, the next step took place. That was when every party member was shaking hands with the appropriate statue, all of the statues came to life. The Lesser Titans, as they animated, complimented each of the party members, telling them how well they represented their primal element and that the magical item that they had been holding on to and using wasn't necessary, that the primal essence was part of them and they could just discard these items. And that if they did, that would show their faith that they really were primal creatures of the elements. Some party members, like Melanoa, didn't hesitate at all and immediately got rid of their item. When they did that, the statue, along with their item, both vanished in some element-specific flavor. Like when Melanoa kicked off her shoes, they turned into puddles, and the statue splashed onto the floor as also a puddle. Other party members took a little while, such as Relvin, who wasn't sure exactly how to smash his bracers that were made of ice, but the Titan recommended he could just use the pommel of his sword, and that would probably cut it. He did that, bracer smashed, so did the statue. The only person that didn't immediately go along with it was Zinj, which incidentally meant he had a conversation with the Titan. See, Zinj had some skepticism about the whole deal. He didn't like what he had seen happen to Kug, turning into a fire elemental, going mad and trying to kill everyone. He also didn't like the idea of being completely railroaded by the god and having no actual choice in his life. So the Lesser Titan explained how things work. Every 1,000 years, Balm puts forth a challenge after retiring the previous set of Titans. These challenges go out to the populace, and a number of individuals work their way up in power and capability and eventually find themselves here. Those survivors are given the opportunity to accept the primal essence that's in them and to go on to become the next Titans. In doing so, the person would end up with a 1,000-year lifespan where they would have immense power, be one of the strongest creatures in the world, and pretty much have to answer to no one other than Balm. And Balm would let them pretty much do what they would because they were primal forces, and that's what he does. Every once in a while he'd call on them, but that would be pretty rare. But in the end, it was Zinj's choice whether he was going to accept the primal essence and evolve to the next step, or if he was going to return and say, no, that's not me. So Zinj bought into it and got rid of his item. It puffed away in smoke, as did the statue, and then the party regathered together in the middle room. Talking a bit, they didn't think there was really anything more to be done, and so they went to leave, but it turned out on the other side of the archway was no longer a volcano and an island. Now, the archway was actually enclosed in a room with a door on one side surrounded by 8 bowls and a set of stairs on the other going down into darkness. After some investigation, Melanoa decided that the door was magically locked and that the 8 bowls were actually sensors that were going to fill up with magical energy or essence as events unfolded, and that once each of the 8 bowls was full, then the door would open. So, preparing themselves for battle and what was ahead, they headed downstairs. And that is where we left off. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any comments. And most importantly, I hope you have a fantastic day. So let's see, lots of power, actual free will, ability to do what you want. Yeah, this sounds kind of good.